Good morning, everyone. My name is Yolandi, and I am the HR Data and Reporting Manager for Danone Benelux. My part of the presentation will be in English. I hope that's okay. I am from South Africa, so I understand Dutch very well, but the speaking part doesn't yet come very naturally. I'm here today to tell you about a very interesting project I had earlier this year with the Magna Versum and ADP teams, in which we rolled out ADP Analytics for improved reporting from our payroll tool. I will start by just setting the scene a little by touching on our HR IT landscape and strategy and where this project actually then fits in. I will also go into how Danone and Magna Versum work together during the project. I will explain a little bit the benefits we see now having used ADP Analytics for about 5 months. And I will end with some lessons learned along the way. As I'm sure you are aware, there are always lessons learned in such a project, which you can take on board for your next endeavor. So, similar to most companies, we also have various systems and sources of employee data, the main ones being SAP SuccessFactors, our Dutch payroll system, of course, being ADP, and then we also have another payroll system in Belgium. And our focus at this time is really on getting the basics of our data and reporting right, so that moving forward, we can continue to improve on our reporting and look to implement more insightful, fun HR analytics as well. So the implementation of ADP Analytics is part of this strategy of getting the basics right. So that is our focus at this moment. Additionally, I also just want to mention that prior to taking on this project, we did have a reporting tool using data from ADP, but we found it to not be very flexible. It had been built over time by different people, so there was some knowledge lost as to how some of the reports came about and the data and calculations in the background. Also, because it was a different tool, it required large daily file transfers from ADP to, of course, work. And often we experience some issues with these transfers, ultimately then leading to users having out-of-date information for their reporting. And that's, of course, something you never want. So because of these challenges and the benefits we initially saw in ADP Analytics, like, for example, solving my daily file transfer issue and giving me the flexibility to easily build new reports, we decided to go ahead and change our reporting tool to ADP Analytics. So Danone and Magna Versum, we came together, we formed a combined project team. In the preparation phase of the project, I would say the two most important actions were a reporting needs analysis and the training of the Danone project team. So I performed a reporting needs analysis of my key users from HR as well as finance to understand what really their reporting requirements were and what reports they were actually using from the tool we had at that time. I used this to create an overview of what should be built in ADP Analytics, as well as, of course, what are the priorities around the build. This overview then ultimately also served as our project plan, where we could track the progress of the reports being built. Early on, Danone also received training from the Magna Versum team. This was actually incredibly important for both our basic understanding of the system, but also to become familiar with building and editing reports ourselves. During the building phase, we would, of course, rely on our project plan to keep us on track. And we had a really nice rhythm of the Magna Versum team building and the non-reviewing. It was during this phase that we also started really learning to build reports ourselves and taking on some of the activities that were not too complicated. What was also great is that we had 2 in-person workshop days where the teams sat together, we reviewed reports, we performed troubleshooting, and we made changes in real time. So those 2 days were really powerful. And ultimately, we came to a place where Magna Versum could hand over all the hard work they had done, and we could continue making small edits and tweaks to the reports and the look and feel of the dashboards. We also performed our own internal training of our users. Here, I took quite a personal approach. I set up really, really small sessions, sometimes with individuals or really small teams, as another opportunity to both train them on how to use this new reporting software, but also to see if they had any additional reporting needs above what we were now offering, so that I could quickly add this to my list of future reports to build. And then we ultimately had quite a smooth transition from the old to the new system. Everyone was trained, they could find the reports they needed and were used to having in the past. And yeah, it was quite great. So some of the benefits we have seen over the 5 months of now using ADP Analytics. Well, I really enjoy the ability to really quickly edit and create new reports, depending on the data need I'm faced with that day. We've also had some improvements in the accuracy of our data calculations. ADP Analytics has a really large library of standard reports, which you can use as is or build upon. Each user can also create their own personalized dashboard views, so they can see the things that are most important to them. Because of course, there's quite a big variety of reports and graphs and things available. One thing I'm very happy about is I no longer have my data transfer issues from one tool to another. Whenever I open analytics, I see real-time data. And also because of the different clouds, it is now really easy for me to manage access, as not everyone, of course, needs access to all information. So for example, someone in HR would typically see all employee-related data, but a controller in finance should only see information relating to payroll. Two reports that really stand out to me as being particularly beneficial is the leave accrual report we built. This is a really, really nice example of combining employee data, employee leave data, and payroll information. So in one view, we can very easily calculate the information needed by finance for the leave provisions. I also really like the data and trend views we created for absenteeism. So you can easily here just see the information you needed, but we now also have the ability to build some really insightful visuals, like the same trends over time, or absenteeism per department, per manager, per team, and so forth. And then, of course, as I promised, I would end on some reflections and lessons we learned along the way. And I would say there really are three that stands out. The one that I've mentioned a few times now is that importance of a really clear plan and to prioritize what must be built and what are just the nice to haves. What I would really encourage anyone to do in a similar situation or facing a similar project is learn how to start building reports yourself as soon as possible. Because this, of course, builds your own internal knowledge of the system, but also gives you real, true ownership of your own reports. And it can be quite fun. It can be quite fun building reports as well. And then an interesting one that is always just good to highlight is, and I'm sure we might not be the only one, but we as clients do not always use the fields in ADP as ADP intends for us to use. And that can, of course, cause standard reports not to function. So if you're faced with a project like this, I would really encourage you to do an analysis early on so that you don't face some surprises along the way.